There's nothing like enjoying a good, provocative conversation. I love them. I love them. Right here where black men talk, we embrace them. I think we do more than that. I think we actually hug them. We put our arms around them and hug them real tight. I'm Mark Elliott. As always, appreciate you giving us an ear. And I want to start a series. This gentleman that was on a few months ago, we talked about this a little bit. We didn't go into deep detail, but we talked about the strange and virtuous woman. And as time went on, I thought about the quarrelsome. So what we're going to actually do is going to start a 3-part series. This episode is going to revolve itself around the strange woman. And then we're going to get together a little later and talk about the quarrelsome. And we're going to round it out with the virtuous woman. Now, if I need someone to hold down a provocative conversation, I can go a couple of places. But I'm going to tell you truthfully, my first place to go is the fraternity coach, Carnell Smith. I want to welcome him. Come on in. How you feeling?
Feeling great, Mark. Thanks for inviting me back to When Black Men Talk. And I think it should be When All Men Talk. I think we've learned some things that men and boys can be equipped to make better decisions.
Absolutely, man. And that's really, because someone could listen to the 3-part series and think that we're basically trying to, point blame, point fingers and stuff of that nature. We're really not. We're kind of basically trying to say, you know what, maybe we can kind of see some things differently. Maybe we kind of look at ourselves a little differently, look at some of the decisions makings that we're making and kind of maybe do better for ourselves. So realistically, we're never trying to blame or point fingers, but the conversation sometimes needs to be had. And sometimes those conversations are in a favorable way to one side or the other, but that doesn't stop us from talking about it. So I want to say this. I noticed something a little different, when I saw your name, and I kind of seen your name popping up a few times, Man for Justice. Let's go into that because I know you as the fraternity coach, but you wear a few titles. So let's go to that title, Man for Justice.
Yeah, well, long before I settled on the branding of fraternity coach, I was Man for Justice because I believe in fairness. I believe in equal treatment under the law. And I believe that someone has to be the advocate and be willing to take a stand, even if it's unpopular. So being a man who's willing to pursue justice, it was very easy to gravitate that into Man for Justice. And it was very well promoted on a episode that I did with Dr. Phil and one of my clients, a doctor who turned out to not be the father, and his ex-wife still felt he should still have to pay her because apparently it's his fault she had the affair.
Good googly moogly.
Yeah, I knew that would, to any fair-minded people, whether male or female, that would not fly over well. And she surely did come on the show and try to justify that, right? And then I asked some very pointed questions. I was like, well, now, how is your husband supposed to know you were having an affair? Just he was supposed to have some mystical powers because he has an MD degree and he's a professor in medicine. He's teaching other doctors. When you're the only one know that you cheated on your husband with your coworker from another race, and your husband made more money, so you wanted your husband to be to that? Sounds like strange woman behavior.
Absolutely. I want to pull something out of there because it's strange woman, new woman, old woman, whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying men don't fall into this category sometimes as well. But accountability. And it's something that I remember basically being instilled in myself when I was a child. Our parents made us accountable for our errors, our mistakes, to learn from, to do better as we grew up and move into society. But it just seemed like some folks would rather fight accountability when it's clear. And I just want to get your opinion on it because to me, I can only imagine the work you have done in the past, how many times you came across this where they just won't accept accountability. Why?
Yeah. That's a great question, Mark. And I've come across a few reasons because originally I was puzzled as for why women would commit paternity fraud, women and girls. And it came down to a couple of few traits. One is manipulative. 2 is self-centered. 3 is dishonest. Let me repeat them again. Manipulative, self-centered, and dishonest. You can't have those 3 and be accountable for the conduct of your own actions and be willing to say these big words. I'm sorry, it was my fault. And over these 20 plus, 25 plus years, what I've found in common with those women and girls that do this is they all possess those same traits. And it was a complete lack of accountability. And it made me think of the people who like to see themselves always as the perpetual victim. Well, if she did something wrong with her boyfriend or her husband, then he made her do it because he didn't let her have her way, which comes right back to manipulative, self-centered, dishonest.
Wow. And it's not hard to really figure out when you think about it, because those qualities, when they're present, they smack you right in the face. They smack you clearly in the face. When someone's being manipulative, to me, it's a form of disrespect, because they're in a sense saying to me, maybe I take it this way. I think I'm so much smarter and clever than you. I can maneuver around you. You're not even smart enough to realize. I'm going to do this because I don't value your intelligence enough to where I can just move around you. And the dishonesty, oh my goodness. I mean, it's like they're born that way. I'm just being honest. It's just that they think they have the right to basically take the truth and mold it into where they make it works for them. And the center, I mean, realistically, it's all about them anyway. It's not about you. It's not about nothing else. It's about what I can receive, what I can gain. How am I going to benefit from any situation that's in? So when you put all those 3 together, you're right. But again, it smacks you in the face. It's not like it's not going to feel. And I think that's the thing for most men when we're up against it, that we kind of really find it be hard to kind of understand. It's because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's just not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, you keep knocking right on the door of the strange woman here.
Oh, come on now.
you may as well go ahead and crack that open.
Why not? Because, yes, and ironically, the strange woman refers to a character in the book of Proverbs. And I don't even think many people heard the title. I'd be honest with you. We talk about the Bible in many, many different times and say different things, but you don't hear that name that often, the strange woman. It's associated with temptation and a threat to a person's well-being. Think about that. Associated with temptation and a threat to a person's well-being. Now, from my understanding, it's a cautionary figure. It's not actually a woman, but in reality, women play out this role. She's described as alluring and potentially dangerous, yet tempting others with promise of pleasure and wealth. Tempting others with promise of pleasure and wealth. Now, Cornell, if you think about this for a man, we have certain things about us that we respond to, sometimes subconsciously. We just kind of, before we can understand it, think about it, we're doing some things. We have to really catch ourselves and really kind of, discipline ourselves not to basically do certain things. But by man's nature, if you put all that together, temptation, you put alluring, you put pleasure and wealth, you roll that into a cocktail. That's a strong, potent cocktail. And for a man, why is that?
That is a great question, Mark. So, why is that a potent cocktail? To the undisciplined man who is spiritually immature, who leans more on his emotions to be more emotion-driven than fact and logic, where he's willing to disregard the potential for short-term pleasure and long-term misery. He's willing to ignore the potential for the misery, because in this example here, you have King Solomon at the very beginning of Proverbs chapter 1. He's talking about how he's he provided these lessons in Proverbs to teach his sons. And him being a man who had 700 wives and 300 concubines, he was well familiar with the ways of women, and he did himself some disservices by joining with women from other nations for political gain. And it wasn't uncommon that kingdoms would unite on a woman being passed over to another king or prince to join those kingdoms together as sort of what's the word I'm looking for? As allies, right? But this eventually caused him to compromise his integrity, his principles, his religious leadership, and his ultimate relationship with God by bringing in women who did not have his same moral code, his same religious code of conduct, his morality factor. And this matters so much because the modern day woman who has embraced so many of the attributes of feminism that she rejects the principles of God to where she sees herself as God to the point to where men should worship her. And in Proverbs chapters 2, 5, 6, and 7, the strange woman is brought up and shown how she uses her physical attributes, her looks, her shapeliness, her feminine wiles and charms to deceive and more or less mislead men into points of a relationship where they lose their wealth, lose their health, lose their relationship. And in one of those, she actually goes so far as to told this young fellow, I've been looking for you all day. The good man is not home. Her husband, he's off on a journey. I've already got the bed already made up. It's decked out with fine linen. I got the smell good. It looked good. And I've been looking for you. And this fool thinks he got lucky. And that's like the guy who's shopping for a wife at a strip club.
See, I knew I had the right gentleman for this conversation, man. I just knew I had the right gentleman for this conversation. It's, what is really interesting is that the promise of pleasure, and sometimes that promise doesn't have to be spoken. And a lot of time from a man, it's the perception that the promise is there. And with that alone, we tend to respond to it and react to it. And I'm listening when you say 700 wives, 700,
yeah,
300 concubines. What more could any man desire? What more promise could of a pleasure be available or offered to a man of that has that capacity of 700, 300 concubines, but still being a man, somewhere his perception that there was pleasure yet to be enjoyed, pleasure yet to be, felt. And I bring that to the modern day. And you spoke about how she, the destruction, how she carried on. She came in basically, the good man is gone. It's amazing how this is on display in 2025, realistically, every single day around us. And sometimes as males, we're not tuned in enough to even notice it. Our discernment doesn't really show it to us in a sense because we're basically running after the pleasure.
Yeah. And that's because as men, we are visually stimulated and visually motivated. And that in and of itself is not a problem. But that also has to have training and coaching. And let's just say in the religious context, it takes a godly man to help shape his son to become a man of godly character such that he can resist the wiles of the strange woman, who is an immoral woman, who is a woman who believes her faithfulness is based on whether or not he is at her side and in sight. In other words, is he Mr. Right now while he's in sight? Otherwise, she is single and ready, willing, and able to mingle when he's not in sight. So if she goes on the girls' trip, she has no problem with pulling her ring off, putting her ring in the purse. She's only married while she's in physical proximity of him. And the modern day woman who fully embraces the attributes of feminine, what's the word I'm looking for? Feminism. It teaches them that they don't have to be confined to the construct of a monogamous relationship. But yet, you have King Solomon here trying to teach his sons now, don't make the mistakes that I made. Don't do my stupid. Don't just go about how cute the package is. Don't just look at her and say, dear God, bless her. Do you see what she looked like? The Lord is my shepherd. I see what I want. Lord, bless me indeed with this. This is a formula for disaster, Mark.
Yeah, most definitely. I want to tie in the strange woman to, because you spoke of the feminine movement and stuff like that in detail. I want to tie it into independence.
Okay.
Because when you look at the strange woman, how do they coincide? Because for whatever reason, I guess for whatever reason, there was a movement, and as you spoke of, stand alone. When you go on the girls' trip, that's big and popular with a lot of women. They feel they have to go on the girls' trip, and like you said, the ring comes off, and they're seeking attention, they're seeking validation, and act like, for the most part, it's kind of promoted to act like you're not married or you're not, in a covenant with someone.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times when we hear the word independence, when she says I'm independent, we don't think of the strange woman. We don't think that she's basically strange. And I want to go there for a little while, because to me, that's part of the equation that doesn't get put on the chalkboard.
Okay.
I'll say this, because a lot of times, and I have nothing wrong with, someone taking care of themselves, but they act like that's not the norm. We take care, as men, we take care of ourselves. We don't beat our chest on about it. Yeah. But I think the point of when I say the strange woman of the independence, that confidence, that feeling where even if I'm not on the trip with my girls, I don't necessarily need you. I only want you for certain things. I only want you in my life to benefit me for X, Y, Z. So in a way, the strangeness is because her temptation wanting you basically when she needs you for X, Y, Z. And when there's no X, Y, Z, it's not necessary for you. And I think that's where the strange woman and independence collide, in my opinion.
I think you're onto something. Remember that part where I said that she's self-centered.
Yes.
And self-centered means she's focused primarily on her own needs and wants. And let's just add into that her thirst for attention and validation. She could be in a relationship, married to a multi-millionaire A-list actor, and still not be satisfied, and then find herself in an entanglement with one of her kids' friends. Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yes, sir.
Self-centered, supposedly in a covenant relationship. I don't know what kind of relationship they call themselves on, but do you know that when men choose the wrong woman, it'll affect his brand, it'll affect his reputation, it could affect his business, it can affect his emotional and financial well-being. And as a result, now I think, at least for the last 10 plus years, a lot of men have opted to go on strike and saying, based on how the laws work, based on the difficulty in sorting through the mud pile of the modern day woman who embraces feminism or the womanism or the womanist point of view, they are so still focused on their own needs, not, I'm gonna just their own desires, and thirst for attention and thirst for male validation, that you actually see them advertising themselves online to other men.
Yes.
And the term is called thirst trapping. And what that means is dresses so close to how a prostitute dresses that it confuses the men who looking for the prostitute.
Yeah.
So let me cite you an example. A woman was walking down the street and she got stopped like 5 times, and guys asked her, well, how much? And she, being perturbed, says, what do you mean, how much? He will say, I see you walking the street, so obviously you for sale. How much for the hour, and how much for the afternoon, and how much for the weekend? She was offended, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then the man tells her, so, well, if you ain't selling nothing, take the uniform off and put the sign down.
Okay. I have a new theory on prostitution, Cornell.
Go ahead.
And this is my thought. When I hear a woman basically say, you have to basically do this for me, get my hair done, get my nail done, pay my bills, XYZ, make demands, and with those demands, I will be with you. To me, that's prostitution.
I completely agree. You're talking about a transactional relationship.
Yes.
That's like rent a pro, right?
Yes. And it's funny because a lot of men don't see that way. A lot of women don't even see when they're saying it. They don't even understand it that deeply. Is that you're basically...
Cornell and Mark see it that way.
Absolutely. It's a transaction to where you're basically... If he's doing all these things to basically have you physically, what is the difference from walking up to you on a street corner and offering you $100?
Yeah.
What is the difference? Actually, It's going to cost him more to do those things in reality. But what is the difference? And that is like the new modern day. So when they're walking around and I need this and he's got to do, you're posing yourself as a prostitute and don't even realize it. You are. And that's where the average man that has his scruples correct, he's not going to deal with you. He's not into buying. He's not into buying prostitutes.
No,
he's just not. And you're wondering why those type of men you can never basically have or attract, because you're basically displaying yourself. Forget the strange woman. You're displaying yourself as a prostitute.
Exactly. And that is not conducive to a high value man's personal code of conduct, to his business relationships, and to what he would deem as important and valuable for his legacy to raise his children. Think about it. Who wants to be married to a woman who has OnlyFans and 5 Tinder profiles? It's like, well, obviously there's only one of you married. He's married. She's in a until I find somebody better. Meanwhile, you'll just be my financial sponsor. That's not a real covenant relationship. And as a result, you look at how the family court treats men as being disposable ATM. And then you throw in no fault divorce laws. The guy can catch her cheating on him with 12 other guys. And she did the whole football team. And he has video. He has a private investigator report. But in a no fault divorce state, that doesn't matter except in the distribution of property and decisions of alimony. And men look at what happens to the guys that they knew had great character, the good guy. And they saw those guys get mowed down by family court. And for some of those guys, they saw this happen to their dad by their mother, who was a strange woman. And some of those guys says, it'll never happen to me.
Think about that. Looking at your mom and seeing her being a strange woman. Think about that for a second. Imagine what that does to a male psychic. I want to say something real quick, and then we'll go back to strange woman. But I came across this article. Actually, I heard this guy talking about it, and I was like, man. And let me go do a little research. And I'm always kind of looking for things and researching and finding things. And I came across this. I wanted to kind of throw out, and I think you and I should take this on at one point and talk about this. But the state of Kentucky, back in let's say Kentucky, back in 2017, decided when it come down to divorce, they're no longer going to give one spouse full custody. It was going to make it shared custody, where basically what that really does eradicates child support. So you're going to be joint custody. There's no need for one parent to pay the other parent for basically for the custodial process of the child. So what it did, it eliminated that by just doing that. So when you first hear that, you go, why would they do such? That's part of the driving force there. Now you don't have to fight. You don't have to fight basically who's going to be with what. Automatically, in most divorce, cases, we assume the child or the children are going to stay with the mother. And this Kentucky said, no, we're no longer going to deal with that.
Well, it's not just Kentucky. I'm well familiar with this movement. I've spoken with this movement. You're talking about the equal shared parenting with a presumption of 50-50 in the beginning from day one. Before the push for that movement, the presumption of custody was 100% to mom, 0% to dad. And married men and single men were in the same category. For them to get time with their kids, they had to start from zero. Now, what that has done in effect, Mark, is it has took the money grab out of the divorce for the women who were just saying, I'm going to be in this long enough to get past the clock threshold to where I can get maximum dollars. And by the way, guess who files the most divorces?
I think it's 80%.
It's 80% women. And then another study of where I heard reference says, if the woman has a college degree, 90% of those women file for divorce. And they're seeking cash and prizes when they file. Yeah, you know me. I will amp this up. All right.
I love it.
Cash and prizes is she wants the house, she wants the car, she wants to give him the bill for her attorney. He's got to pay for his attorney. And if there are kids, she wants full custody of the kids and give him as minimal to no time with the kids to establish the maximum child support, and then try to get included in that order. She wants to include college, all extracurricular activities. She will find stuff to put them in just to put the bill on the husband. So if you're a guy in that scenario in those states, that especially the ones where they embrace the no fault methodology, and there was no presumption of equal shared parenting in that prospective state, you're potential to lose a good 50 to 60% of your income, and you would be almost just above the poverty line potentially for the next 15 to 18 years, depending on how old the child is. And a lot of those guys made fatal flaws in negotiating that they would agree to things. And Mark, they would agree to pay exorbitant amounts of money because they equated how much they loved their kids with how much money they paid their mother. And their mother she had the I'm getting cash and prizes mindset. And then she would drop the poison pill on him and say, well, the term is called silver bullet. She says, he did something and I'm afraid of him and I must have a protective order. And we're talking about where suddenly there's been no prior history, no police reports, nothing observed by neighbors, family members, or anything. And all of a sudden, she's dropping in, making claims of domestic violence and all. This is one of the 5 areas that men need to be worried about false allegations. I actually spoke on that recently at a conference at the Black Manosphere in Miami, Florida, just a couple of weeks back. And as a result here, the man who is unaware, he marries a strange woman. And she has never laid down her strange woman ways. She just put the mask on long enough to make it through that marriage ceremony, stays married long enough to hit the threshold for getting cash and prizes. And she might be willing to give him a baby because you get more cash and prizes with the baby. You get alimony, you get child support, you get the house, and then you can stick him with the bill. Now, you want to know why men are going on strike saying, no, I saw that happen to my dad. I saw that happen to the good guy at work. It'll never happen to me.
Interesting enough, man, that in the state in Kentucky, since 2017, divorce filings have dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
Dramatically.
I know. Do you know why, though?
You just spoke of it. You just spoke. Because it's no longer viewed as the cash cow.
It's not as profitable.
No, it's no longer. Yeah.
For the woman who wants to just,
someone need to come out with a song and sing the song. It's cheaper to keep him. Beyonce should sing whatever. It's cheaper to keep him because it's no longer it's cheaper to keep her. It's cheaper to keep him. Because you tell me, if you really want a divorce, if your marriage is that where it's not working, that shouldn't stop you in Kentucky.
Yeah.
It should not. I think most gentlemen, if you want to get married, I think that's where you should move to. Take your bride, move to Kentucky or other places that have this law, basically, and settle down there. I mean, I'm saying that facetiously, but let's get real. Because you tell me, you're like you say, 80% of women and 90% of college graduate women are running to get divorced. So you mean to tell me, and when a law hits the books in 2017, all of a sudden, you're going to hang on to the same guy that you couldn't come home and look at, you couldn't stand to be around? All of a sudden now, you're not running to get divorced. Why not? He probably hasn't changed.
Well, let's be blunt. Let's be blunt. A lot of women are in love with the wedding. I'll say it slower. A lot of women have dreamed just about the wedding.
From a little girl.
Given no thought.
From a little girl.
To the marriage.
From a little girl.
Yep.
From a little girl.
It's not the same thing. And a lot of them, they drunk the Disney Kool-Aid. And for us guys that fell under the spell of some of these Disney rom-coms. and they looked at this and they go, oh my goodness. Well, I'll be her white knight. And it was like, man, you got to be extremely discerning on the front end, and you must do extreme vetting to make sure you're not in a relationship with a strange woman who's masquerading as a virtuous woman. And it takes time. It takes various scenarios that you observe, and you got to be willing to. What was it? He says you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Absolutely.
You got to know what is your non-negotiables. Because if she's with you and she's still advertising to other men that she's available, you're in a relationship with a strange woman.
It's Carnell Smith, the man for justice, and the paternity coach, Mark Elliott. We're in the midst of The Strange Woman, a 3-part series we're going to do. The Strange Woman is first. The second will be Quarrelsome. And the third will be The Virtuous Woman. And we're doing it all on When Black Men Talk. Thank you for giving us an ear. I want to jump on something you said earlier, because they said they didn't realize they married a strange woman to which they were married. And think about this for a second, Carnell, because I know I've heard this numerous times, and I'm sure I'm just not the only one. I'm assuming this came across you hearing this as well. A lot of men said, once we got married, she changed.
Yeah, it's a bait and switch.
Yes. And it's like, as you said earlier, they hid down, they kind of pushed down the strange woman qualities that were there. But once they became husband and wife, the veil, the cover came off. And these gentlemen didn't even realize, they saw the change, but they didn't understand the change was a strange woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why King Solomon, in my opinion, King Solomon, having 1,000 women that he was personally involved with, had enough of a sample to be able to write these chapters 2, 5, 6, and 7 in Proverbs to warn the men, to warn the sons about the character, the attributes, the nature of the women who embrace the strange woman mindset, which in today's time, it is so close to the feminist mantra or the womanist mantra. She's immoral. She's manipulative. She's self-centered. She's dishonest. She lacks accountability. If he catches her hugged up, kissing up on another guy. She said, well, it's his fault that he worked too much. And it's his fault that she got bored. And what was she supposed to do? She needed, you didn't pay her no attention. So she had to go get attention from somewhere. So she put her bikini pics up, and she put her short shorts up, and she put her twerking videos up. And she just says, I just put that up for my friends. And next thing you know, she got 1,100 dudes hitting her up in her DMs, offering her all manner of things. And some of those guys are collecting. So she gets the benefit of both worlds. She gets to have the respectability of looking like a married woman who looks like a virtuous woman. But if not monitored and observed, she'll get away with wearing that masquerade. She'll wear that mask. And for the discerning man, though, he'll see who she is before the wedding. He'll see the disrespect. He'll see the chronic victim. He'll see the overly controlling, dishonest, manipulative. The one who says, well, if she did something wrong, it's your fault because you made me do it. The discerning man, he'll drop her like a hot rock. It says the best way to deal with a strange woman is you don't play.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But that brings me to something I want to go into, because in reality, the strange woman should serve as a guide. You spoke of that already. It should serve as a guide to warn individuals. Basically, a relationship with this person is going to be destructive. It's not going to be to your benefit. And what I find to be interesting, because you spoke about the discernment, and I'm wondering, and I'm going to put this at men's feet for the most part, because a lot of men are marrying strange women, and a lot of times they're not even waiting till they get married to change. They know right when they look at her. They know when they're dating her, and they're still running to the call of Jared. They went to Jared. He did this, whatever the case may be. And my thing is, what's with their discernment? What is with their discernment? Now, I know we're going to say so much, but are we as men lacking in that area so much to where we don't see the guide? We don't see the warning signs. We don't see the cross going back and forth, the flashing lights. Because I know we're looking at the body. I know we're looking at, because to me, I'll just go out and say this. Instagram ain't nothing but a bunch of strange women out there.
Oh, most definitely.
That's all that is. That's
all
a
that dating is. App.
Yeah,
that's a dating app.
So if you're rolling Instagram thinking you're going to find some type of woman to be with for your life, where's your discernment? I mean, a lot of times, just don't get in a vehicle or a boat just because a bunch of other knuckles are riding a boat. Get in your own boat. Have your own mindset. But it seemed like a lot of men, the same thing with these cats going to foreign countries, running after these women. Basically, when your plane is leaving, another cat is coming in. What the heck is going on? Where's the discernment? Where's the thought process? Where is men, being leaders, really understanding that a lot of these women aren't for you. They're for what they can get out of you. Exactly. And it should not be that big discrepancy where a good majority of us have no discernment.
Well, I think this, Mark. The blind cannot teach the blind. And as a default, if I have not grown up with men of high character, men who have a code of conduct, who have high moral character, and are, look, the kind of men that'll walk away from a strange woman, whether he finds her in the church, in the library, at the hospital. I mean, there are some occupations that researchers says there are the greater prevalence of these women acting and conducting themselves as the strange women. And how else would a man know these things unless he has friends who have this knowledge and wisdom, who have a close enough relationship with him, and he is coachable that he can learn from. And if he's only been around, let's say his mother's a strange woman. If he's only been around women who have that attribute, who tout it on display, and even at 40, 50, 60 years old, mom is still out there running the streets, dropping it like it's warm. She's still trying to compete at the clubs with the young chicks. He's missed out on what is a healthy male perspective, from a man of character, high value, family oriented man, it's not impossible for him to learn, but he's got to get into an environment and an atmosphere where those things can be taught. And is he open to learn?
Now, that's a good point, open to learn. And that I'm with that wholeheartedly. But here's the thing that I notice about a lot of men. They will take up with one strange woman, okay? And here again, not realizing she's strange. Even when that relationship ends, Carnell, they don't take time to sit back and evaluate. Now, I understand they may not have been told, may not have been given to them. I'm with that 1,000%. But if I just bang the hell out of my head on a wall, my head is bleeding, I'm going to spend a little time. How am I going to not bang my head again? How did I bang my head? I didn't like that. So the next time, I'm not banging my head. But these cats, Carnell, are banging their heads even harder the second time, harder the third time.
Yeah.
And I get it, but at some point in life, the education part has done left. That boat has left. Because at some point, you have to tie into yourself and realize, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, you're talking about self-reflection.
Yes. Am I basically staying in the same lane with my feet on the gas pedal and not slowing down reading the signs? Because I think that's what a lot of brothers are doing. Because
I agree with you.
Yes. You can't tell me after banging the hell out of your head, you ain't got a headache. You don't have a headache. So why do you sign back up for another headache? And I'm going to say something a little different too.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you banging your head constantly and staying married to a strange woman and have your head bludgeoned? I don't get it. It's just my personal opinion. I know things are said about divorce, but let's get real. Men wasn't designed to live that way. We weren't designed to keep banging our head up against the wall, boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. At some point, we have to really self-reflect and understand our purpose, our value. And I know that's what bothers me more so anything else. Because for the most part, I expect a woman to be what she is. Some women. I just expect it. I show up knowing this. There's nothing new to me. I am who I am. So realistically, I don't expect her flower to always be a rose. As much as she may want to present it as a rose, a lot of times it's dandelions. A burnt dandelion at that. So I'm saying, know that going in. Don't go in and be as gullible because she has big breasts. Don't go and be gullible because basically you want to get between her legs. Realistically, pull back, understand, and think about what happened last time, because that was really a warning and a learning. And as I said, the strange woman, realistically, should be a guide. But at the same time, a lot of men, a lot of us are in strange woman relationships and marriage that's very destructive. And we're running, just my opinion, we're running to the therapist for the therapist to help us. Seriously, they're going to take 3 or 4 years to tell you something you should have known walking into their office their first day. Their first day. They're not married to that strange woman. You are. You're married. You chose to date that strange woman, boss. Come on, let's get with this.
Well, that's one perspective. I said a little earlier in our conversation, can the blind lead the blind? Can the blind teach the blind? And until there were some things that I got in an environment where I was around a different group of guys. I'm going to put it this way. If all of my life I've been around single mothers, as opposed to the core nuclear family that had a father, a mother, and children, and he was an active father who saw it as his duty to teach his sons character, how to discern between the types of women, what is good, what is evil, what is healthy, what is unhealthy. I mean, there are guys who, because they're so committed to wanting to have a relationship, they will stay in an abusive relationship where they're being emotionally and physically abused because they don't want the relationship to die because they grew up without having a family. And a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with what have they learned about what is normal. because for some people, their environment shapes their views and their experience on what is normal. So if you've grown up with chaos and confusion, and you keep getting in relationships with chaotic, confused, strange women, how do you make that shift without doing something to make a change? I like what you said about that moment of self-reflection, or as we in the street they say post-nut clarity. You're like, all right, I do not like these outcomes. I do not like these results. I've done this 5 times and I've got these same results. It must be something wrong with the way I'm picking them.
But Carnell, here's something that we haven't really brought to, maybe in a way we have. And a lot of this boils down to lust.
Oh, self-discipline.
Yes, it boils down to lust because a lot of times lust can basically blot your eyes to a strange woman. It really can. It can blot your eyes to who she is as a strange woman. And realistically, you're rolling with that lust. And a lot of times, I'm not even sure we understand the damage of lust. I'm not even sure I understand when we're under the spell of lust. Let me take the word spell out. Or when we're basically
but I get what you mean. You're talking like the influence.
Yes, being influenced by lust and not realizing that lust is making our decisions for us. And it's not. And I here can have no disagreement where they need to be put in a situation to learn, and they may have not grown up and have that. I totally get that. But I think more times than none, a lot of us are being driven by lust to make our decisions. And realistically, how that goes, we end up with a strange woman. And we end up with someone.
I plead guilty on all charges.
And we end up with someone. And again, life is life. We live it. We learn. We grow. But my thing is, as you turn and life evolves, you can't keep banging the lust drum and not understanding it. And to me, it's sad if you got to your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and you're still rocking that lust drum, not understanding where it's gotten you and it's been haven't served you well. That's, to me, is part of the problem.
Yeah, but I've still seen it. I've seen cats in their 60s still trying to live like they're in their 20s, man.
Hello.
Got the gold chain on.
Hello.
And look, the shorter the skirt, the more attention he gives. But guess what? But that's a contrast that though with a well-disciplined man of integrity who has learned and he has looked and done the work. He's reflected. He's looked at what happened when he just used his visual, used his eyes to determine what he thought was good. And the packaging was extraordinary. It was a 910 supermodel. But when he spent time with her, he come to find out, man, on the character scale, man, she was a -12 with a dark heart. She was self-centered. She's manipulative. She's dishonest. And to add to that, she thinks she's God's gift to men. And she gets so much attention from men for nothing but her looks. Yeah. And she doesn't even bother to try to develop anything else about her life. Now, the guy who keeps picking and choosing women just on her outward appearance. Now, let's be honest. We like to have ourselves a woman that we're attracted to. But we don't want to have the woman who we think we're in a relationship with. She is always advertising to the next cat, and it's just your turn. At some point, the guy has to be willing to do an introspective look and look at himself and says, do I like the outcomes that I've been getting? If I don't like the outcomes, what's the common denominator? I'm the one that keeps picking these chicks from the strip club, or they have the characteristics and the mannerisms and all the attributes of the chicks at the strip club, or all of the strange woman character traits. and I keep picking those, then what am I doing to keep attracting that kind of women? Because if I keep leading with my wallet, I'm going to keep attracting the kind of women who pursue men for resources. She will sell her body to get her hair done, get her rent paid. I've heard women say this out loud, that they had 5 men they're dealing with. They had one guy who was, he paid her rent, another guy who paid her car note, another guy who paid for her to get her hair did. None of them guys were getting any sexual pleasure. The guy who treated her like she was nothing but a number was the guy who was knocking her out, breaking her back, had her calling the name of Jesus, Moses, and anybody else you can think of. But those guys, they have to be in a position where they are willing to change.
Yeah. You know, I want to put this question out there, because you hear women say, I want a high value man, or men, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, when I hear that, it's saying you want what a high value man could provide.
Yes.
You don't want his character.
Yes.
You want what he could provide. And in reality, I don't even realize, I'm not even sure a woman, if character is important to women anymore. It's not. I don't think character is really important. Because if you listen to a lot of them when they meet someone for the first time, if they talk to their girlfriends, they'll tell you what he makes, where he works, what he drives, this and that. They don't speak of his character.
Oh, no.
They don't speak of his character. They don't speak he got 4 kids he ain't paying no attention to.
Right.
They don't speak the mere fact he might have been married 20 times. They don't speak to the mere fact that he has a drinking problem. They don't speak
and
to
a drug problem.
Yes. They don't speak to the fact that a male may not be intelligent. They don't talk about that. But if he can hit those first check marks, that's what it is. And if he's good in bed, that's all he has to be. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all that's necessary. So I hear the high value. No, high value means you want to be able to make sure if you're spending time with someone, they're a great return back to you.
Yeah.
Because you're not speaking of his character.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't hear a character come out of a woman's mouth. I can't say the last time I heard a character word come out of a woman's mouth. Last time.
They're looking for what they can
think about it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a one-sided transactional relationship.
No.
And she's looking at the lifestyle that this kind of man can provide.
Yes.
But real high value men though have discipline.
Yes.
And they are extremely discerning. That materialistic chick, a lot of them don't even know where to find a high value man because they'll walk right by that kind of chick.
And they couldn't handle them. They really couldn't.
No.
And what I
that
find,
man gonna have standards.
Yes.
And he go in and enforce them standards.
Yes.
And he will drop her off like a hot rock.
Hello.
Like she needs to be dropped.
Yes. Yes.
And Cornell and Mark are in agreement on that.
Yes. And what I find interesting is they think high value men live in the church.
Well,
they think he's a minister. They think he's this. He's the choir director. Here again, it's the role that they play. They're not looking at his character.
They look at the leadership. They look at somebody in a highly visible. So they'll put that person who's in that high position, like who is at a C-suite level, who is a rapper with a couple of gold or platinum records. But I've also seen some of those same women say they still want to date the guy who's a thug, and they know he's he got felony warrants, he got 12 baby mamas, and she thinks she can change him.
Yeah, but the thing is too, Cornell, they've spent their lifetime dealing with those type of men.
Yeah,
they'll meet a man of high value, of standard, and all the baggage they got from that. You should accept that and deal with it.
Oh, you mean like them 4 babies with 3 baby daddies?
Yes. It's your responsibility now to come in and deal with this because they decide they want their life to change.
I oppose that view. I tell the fellas, I never dated single moms, and I completely understand the fellas who don't. Now, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm saying that's a whole lot of load bringing with them and you're going to be put in last place in that relationship, and everybody's going to expect you to be the financial sponsor for everything, and you're not going to get the respect. And there's times I've heard women tell the kids, you don't have to listen to him. He ain't your daddy.
Ooh.
And this the guy that's paying for the roof, paying for their school clothes, paying for the food, paying for the extracurricular. And she's telling the kids they don't have to listen to him. Now, that level of disrespect, I'm like, why do I tell men it's a horrible deal? Now, she has to be an exceptional woman for you to get in a relationship with a woman who's a single mother. And she has to operate like that. She understands a man of value. He could pick a woman who don't have no kids. Therefore, she got to be up on her game on valuing, treating that man with respect, honor, and actually show that man that she loves and appreciates him, and not that he's just her financial sponsor. But the modern day woman, I've heard these women come in and say they are the table. I'm like, you moron. And they would look, and they say if they have to do 50-50, they rather be by themselves. I'm like, oh, so you are profoundly stupid.
Oh my goodness.
You would rather pay 100% of the bills than be with a guy who is more at your economic and social level. Because the real guys, the guys who are knocking down $2 to $1 million a year, they don't see you, girl. They gonna walk right past you.
Yes. You know what's interesting? I'm going to say this, and I read this a while ago. If it's true or not, I believe it is. But there's a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
This cat has, he's a young cat too.
Mm-hmm.
If it's true, let's say he went from one team and allegedly, let me say that's the word I was looking for. Allegedly, Michael Porter Jr. of the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
The story had allegedly that he got traded, I guess, to Brooklyn Nets. The cat basically earns $40 million a year playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
He has taken an apartment in New York with his girlfriend.
Okay.
And she pays half the rent as long as it was with him.
Okay.
Now, for the most part, people basically, was like, he making $40 million. But think about that for a second. Yes, that's what he's making.
Mm-hmm.
But why should she not, if she's there just as much as he's there, pay half the rent?
Mm-hmm.
Really? And it's funny because the automatic assumption is if he's making 40, what should she be paying? What should she be paying? So when you talk about bringing to the table, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, really, bring a good mind to the table for the first thing. Bring a good mind, bring something that can think, something that basically be utilized, be effective,
right.
A tool that we could use and benefit from as a couple. But why sit there and think that just because you're pretty, shapely, and you smell good, that everything, if he makes a lot, should just be splurged onto you?
That's the bare minimum.
Whew.
That's the bare minimum. And look, and a new model comes out every year. So if that's the case, if it's all about just the exterior packaging, the $40 million a year guy has the pick of the litter because he's the prize.
Hello.
And some of the women have got that thing twisted. There are a lot fewer of guys like him than there are pretty women. That logic is so profound. It goes completely over some of their heads, and they're like, well, I understand that the kind of guy I'm looking for is only 0.01% of all of the men in America out of 120 million guys, but he's out there. I'm like, you don't even travel in the same circles where these guys go. You'll never see them. These are the kind of fellas that once they're at this status level, they're moving in social circles where they're not going to the hole in the wall on the weekend. They got $40 million. They're not going no place where they have to have security be around them within 2 feet the whole time they're in the club. They're going to go someplace where they can buy this whole section.
Yeah. The cat's making $40 million. She's paying half. But
Yeah.
imagine what that half she's paying says to him. Just imagine.
That says to me, she values the concept of being a contributor to the coupleship right there.
Thank you. Yes.
And that's not somebody trying to take advantage of. And as a result, if she stays true to that kind of character, that's the kind of chick that a guy would go to the moon and do more for.
Hello.
Than the one who walks in talking about, you should just do this for me because I'm cute and I'm fine. And there's 1,200 guys hollering at me in my DMs on IG and on my Tinder profile and my Bumble profile and whatever new social media app come out with where I can advertise that I'm available. Like, look, ladies, if you don't want to get treated like the prostitute, don't adopt the characteristics, attributes, and the uniform of the prostitute. But they'll say that, Carnell and Mark, you're being sexist. Yep. I was like, hey, if you don't look, if you don't like the outcomes and you tired of men asking you how much, it should be incumbent upon you to not wear the uniform. You stop confusing them men, you crazy woman.
Oh my goodness. Oh my. She is described as alluring, potentially dangerous, realistically. Yeah. Yet tempting.
I know why she's dangerous.
Oh, yes.
She'll cheat on her husband at the drop of a hat, and she'll bring a dude to his house where he pays all the bills.
Oh, my goodness.
Pay in his bed. And then if that guy cut his trip short and comes home early, here's where the danger comes in. And and the guy don't even know she's married because she took her ring off when he happened to bump into her at the club. And she told him, I've been looking for you all day. I got the bedroom decked out. I got the Victoria's Secret outfit that's ready to tell you some stuff. And that poor fella who is undisciplined, non-discerning, he will go to that other man's house and that man will come walk in, catch him in mid-action, and he might not make it out alive.
Hello.
Danger.
Yes.
And guess what? And she gets a thrill out of, well, I'm going to time this, so he might walk in and he can see I'm still desirable. I can get any man I want.
Yeah.
The virtuous woman don't move like that, but the strange woman does.
Hello. And we're going to get to the virtuous woman in part 3 of this series. Again, we start out with the strange woman. We're going to roll into the next episode where together we'll talk about the quarrelsome. And the third one will be the virtuous. That's how we're closing up. Carnell, I can't thank you enough, man. And I knew when we first approached this, I knew you were the man to have on for this because realistically, you're not afraid to say what needs to be said. And that is really the benchmark of what we do at One Black Man Talk. And I'm being totally honest here. I don't like it when men are afraid to speak. I just don't like it. And I don't really want them here if they're afraid to speak. So I love it when a fella such as yourself is not afraid to open up and say what needs to be said and back up what he says.
Absolutely.
So that's it, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being who you are, for one. And I appreciate you, the man that you are. And I appreciate you, stopping by and spending time here, man. I can't say thank you enough.
Sure thing, brother. And look, I'm honored to be invited back to When Black Men Talk. Because if black men talk and other men listen, and then they start doing the self-reflection and start examining, am I getting the outcomes that I want, that I need, and that I desire? I tell men this. You got to stop going where you're just being tolerated. Because if you've been in relationships with the strange woman, you're just being tolerated. You need to get into a place to where you start to see the value in you. You might have to raise your game. You might have to increase your skills so that you can get your money up, get your health up, get your physical attributes up together. And then change your style. Get yourself to the level to where your confidence goes up. And then you can attract better than the strange woman. Because when you get yourself in place, women will chase you. And I'm speaking as a married man of 34 years. I'm not afraid to say it. You can't make me take it back, and I won't back down from it. Avoid the strange woman like your life depends on it, 'cause it might.
I can't add nothing to that. With that being said, we're going to basically close down this episode. Folks, there's more to come. Trust me, we're going to get into Quarrelsome real soon. Hang out for that one. Hang out for other episodes that everyone Black Men Talk. Carnell, thanks for stopping by, man. We'll chit-chat again real soon. I appreciate it, boss.
Looking forward to it, Mark.
Yes, sir. In the meantime, make sure you take care of yourself. You know, God loves you. We love you too.